John Kavuk is here with another edition of My Take. Today, I got a chance to sit down with Ron Ruelle of the Model Car Hall of Fame. You've probably heard of it before. We got a chance to see the new things that they're doing. Now, the Model Car Hall of Fame site is maintained by hobbyDB. You know I'm a big fan of hobbyDB. I have more to tell you about that site a little later on in the video. For now, let's spend some time with Ron and see what's going on at the Model Car Hall of Fame. Well, Ron Ruelle, you've been patient, and we're so happy to have you here. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your patience. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you.
Hey, great to be here.
Yeah. Now, let's just start out with the basics. I understand you're a car guy.
Very much so, yeah. Yeah, it goes my whole life. My dad worked for AMC Rambler way back when, and we always had some kind of cool cars over the years, so it sort of rubbed off on me.
You ever had a Marlin?
No, love those. Actually, we never had a Rambler or an AMC in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So somewhere along the line, you got involved with scale models. How did that happen?
Well, I've always been collecting them. As a kid, I had the original Hot Wheels cars. This is my original case full of original cars, and where we go ooh and ah. They've all been in the sandbox. They've all been stepped on. They're not in great shape, but they are original. And I built a lot of model cars as a kid. I about 9 years ago got a job with hobbyDB, Christian Braun, writing about collectibles, mostly about model cars, diecast, but also about bobbleheads, Funko Pops, Barbie dolls, comic books, action figures, anything that's collectible. I'm also a cartoonist. I grew up with my grandmother had she worked for a comics publisher, so all of this useless pop culture stuff suddenly became my career. It's like, thank goodness it finally paid off. And I also worked for a car magazine for 17 years. It was called Chevelle World. It was all about Chevelles and El Caminos and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
You've been immersed in cars for quite some time.
Yes.
hobbyDB is just a great site, and I've been working with Christian as well for a while. And he's got some lofty ambitions there, and it looks like he's going to make it.
Yeah, it's a fun company to work for. I started there full time about 9 years ago. Went to part time, and then mostly as a freelancer and just occasional contributor. And then the Model Car Hall of Fame came into the picture, and that sort of changed things for me.
Okay, we'll talk about the Model Car Hall of Fame, and I'm excited to hear more about that. But for your personal collection of scale model cars, do you have a prized item in your collection? The one that when you think about your collection, that's where your mind goes.
Yeah, that case full of Hot Wheels is very important to me. I don't know if I can hold it up in a way that I might have to send you a picture that you can put into there, but I just love the fact that this still exists. Woo! Some kind of fun ones in there. But actually, I did a major purge of my collection a couple of years ago. I moved cross country to a small apartment, so I don't have the space I once did to hold on to my collection. The one thing that I do enjoy most is I collect Kenner SSP cars from the 70s. They're approximately 1/25th-ish scale cars for the most part. I've got one I can hold up a little bit closer. And they had this gyro wheel on the bottom that you pulled a ripcord, and they did approximately 85 different models, and I have one of each. There are people I know who collect every car in every color and every variant, and you're talking like 800 cars or something in that collection. It's like, don't have the room for that, but I love having it on display here.
I'll tell you, I went through the same purge probably about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And selling those first couple difficult, but once you get over that hump, it becomes a lot easier to start moving the stuff out. And somebody once told me I put up a case on my wall with some of my prized models in it, and the case wasn't secure to the wall. and it
Oh,
fell. And a lot of the models were resin, and several of them just shattered in the
oh, yeah.
and
Heartbreaking.
oh my gosh, my heart stopped. I called a friend and I said, "Oh, this is what just happened." And he said, "You know what?" He goes, "Every one of those models creates a space that you can fill with another model."
That's true. Yeah. No, it's fun. Well, when I completed my collection of those SSPs, it's like, well, darn, quest is over. Now what? And occasionally I've looked to upgrade, if I have one that was really beat up with playware, upgrade it to a better one or something. But for the most part, I'm satisfied with the collection, and it doesn't take up a horrendous amount of space. So that's a lot of fun.
Do you
Uh,
have do you have one model that you've always been looking for and have been able to find? We call it Holy Grail.
I have one that doesn't exist. I used to have a 1971 Buick Riviera, the boat tail. I had it for about 35 years. I bought it in college. I sold that when I moved cross country too. It unfortunately was a non-running project at the time, and I don't have a place to keep it right now. So there is a 1/18th scale model of it by Yacht Ming, and it's a decent model. But mine was vintage red, which was a maroon color. And they never made this model in that. And also, this one has a vinyl roof and it's actually molded onto it. So there's a texture and there's the chrome trim down here. And mine did not have the vinyl roof. So if I wanted to modify this, I'd have to do extensive work on the roof area. And the interior is a little bit different too. So I don't know if it's worth customizing and painting, but if I could find a 1/18th scale in that color, they've made a surprising number of cars in that color, and from 143rd down, and I have every one of those, even down to Micro Machines made one, which that's a rare one. They did 4 different variants of it, and those are really hard to find.
Okay, so you're immersed in cars. You work a little bit uh, with the makers. You're working a little bit with hobbyDB still, but you're not full time with hobbyDB, are you?
No, I just occasionally contribute to them. I am sort of full time ish with Model Car Hall of Fame though.
Okay.
Which is sort of a spin-off from hobbyDB. So that's my main day job for the most part, in addition to cartooning and other freelance work.
Well, let's talk about Model Car Hall of Fame. There are several minor sites that call themselves a Model Car Hall of Fame or something like that. But this seems to be the big mamma jamma. So I've been on your site. Christian brought it to my attention quite some time ago, and it seems comprehensive. When did that start?
So it originally began as the Diecast Hall of Fame 15 years ago, started by, I'm not even sure who they were, and they sold it to someone else. And then Christian bought it to sort of, add to the synergy of hobbyDB's web of sites and things. And it had a different focus back then, and we changed it to the Model Car Hall of Fame because a lot of people didn't know what Diecast Hall of Fame was. They thought it had to do with tooling and dies, which technically I guess it does. But we sort of rethought through some of the categories that we honor people in and all that. And then he got an offer he couldn't refuse from a couple guys from Europe who bought the site a few years back, and they promptly did nothing with it. Just let it rot, basically. It was crazy. So he had the chance to buy it back at a bargain. So he did probably a little over a year ago, and he tapped me to help be part of it. So I'm part owner of the site now. Creative director and wheelman is my official position. So I'm the chief writer for the site. And then we also have a designer, tech guy who's in Italy, and then Christian running things. And so that's where we are right now. So we've been trying to get back on track with posting regular content, several times a week about the model car industry. And we've sort of branched out into some additional categories. Like we talk about Lego models more than we used to, but only like the real high end stuff that is, model worthy, not, some silly little minifig car, but something that's, like a, 3,000 piece Batmobile or something is going to have some real high end quality there. So we talk about that sometimes too.
So you're covering all aspects of the scale model hobby.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It started off with, well, it started off, I guess, with traditional like 143rd and 118th high quality stuff, but also included Hot Wheels because they're such a big collectible. And Hot Wheels, while they do have some very high end collectibles, they're also toys. So we like to cover the toy cars that get kids into the hobby, the high end stuff. We do model reviews, usually for yeah, we try to keep it positive, but if we find some interesting new model, we'll write it up because it's worthy of someone's attention. I do listicles, like sometimes. Oh, I for the day of the big eclipse a couple months ago, I wrote an article about model Mitsubishi eclipses, which there are surprisingly many of them, thanks in part to the Fast and Furious movies. And something like that, a franchise that's very car related that has really resulted in a lot of diecast, that's worth covering occasionally too. So
I love that idea that you've got all aspects of scale models. You've got cars, you've got car related. There's just so much material out there, and as a scale model collector, anything related to cars, I gravitate towards. It looks like the traffic's pretty good. Yeah.
yeah.
And you've got a blog. How do we find your blog?
Okay, so if you just go to modelcarhall.com, it takes you to the front page, which has the listing from the latest article on down. So just all of those articles are there. And we've done since the beginning of this year when I officially started, we've been really ramping up the content.
Do you have contributors that help you with that?
We ask for contributors. Sometimes someone will just send us a lead saying, "Hey, here's a new model you should check out." It's like, okay, we get a lot of press releases and things from the companies, of course, and we're not going to slavishly report on all of them, but if one catches our eye, it's kind of cool. Or if someone announces, "Hey, here's the new fall lineup for our cars," we'll pick out a few and say, "Hey, guess what's coming?" And
Ron, do you have? Go ahead.
Oh, and we'll just redirect to their website and everything.
Yeah. Do you have a model of the year program? Do you try and designate one particular model each year? Or?
Well, the Hall of Fame aspect of the site is the other big thing. The blog is year round, and we want to keep people engaged year round. But towards the end of the year, usually it's been November or December. It varies from year to year. That's when we do our annual awards. And so we have categories for the model cars themselves. So we have and this is for the models of the year. So that it needs to be a new casting that came out that year. Everything from large scale, so like 1/5, ish, or down to like 1/12 or whatever. Then we have 1/18th, 1/24, 25, 1/43rd, 1/64th, etc., all the way down to we call it small scale, so like smaller than HO scale, which HO is also one that we have. And then we have some specific like military model, construction model, because those usually don't tend to fit into neat categories sometimes. And then we also have a category for the people of the year, so entrepreneur of the year, collector of the year, etc. And then we have some brands of the year, and these are more legacy things. So sometimes it's a new brand that came out that made a splash, or sometimes we need to honor Matchbox as a legacy brand, or so. When we say it's a Hall of Fame, it's really sort of a museum, a Hall of Fame, and an annual awards event rolled into one. And a lot of people get confused by that. So like the Hall of Fame aspect would be Hot Wheels as a brand, Corgi as a brand, etc. And then but also like the newer inductees. Same with the people. We might induct someone who was the founder of a great old company. or classic designer like Larry Wood or something. And then of course we have like designer of the year or something. If somebody really designed some amazing stuff for the year, we'll honor them. So it's almost like the Oscars, are honoring this year, but a Hall of Fame would honor like the old classics and things and throw that all together. And that's kind of what we do.
You mentioned Larry Wood. You got some pretty high profile people in the Hall of Fame. Can you name some of them?
Well, we had, let's see, this past year we had Mario Andretti, who, again, not a model car guy, but the fact that he inspired so many diecast models, through his very successful career in all sorts of different. Sergio Pininfarina, who is, of course, the classic Italian designer. So many of his cars have ended up in diecast at some point. Tom Daniel, who designed all those crazy customs in the 60s and 70s. He was kind of a contemporary with George Barris. So many model kits, including the Red Baron.
So if I know somebody that I think might be eligible for that, how would we go about submitting that to you?
Right. So that is coming up soon, usually around June or July. We will be announcing that we're looking for nominees from people out there, collectors and fans and industry folks. And we'll have all the categories listed. So there's a nominations ballot that you can go to. It's not open yet, so I don't want to give you the link for it just yet. We're still fine tuning, and also the awards might be after New Year's. We're negotiating with someone to hold it in conjunction with a big event that they're holding, which would be in February. And if that's the case, we're going to push the nomination process a little bit later and the voting process, et cetera. But basically, anyone can nominate somebody, and we'll be approaching collecting clubs and magazines and things saying, hey, check it out. We got some categories for you to fill in. You can nominate one category. You can nominate in all of them if you want. And then we'll go through those nominations and try to pick out some worthy candidates to put on the ballot. And we'll do the ballot sometime in the fall, and then people can vote on that.
I think this is valuable, to be able to recognize people who have influenced the hobby.
Oh, yeah.
People whose names we all know, whether they've influenced, like Pininfarina, whether they've influenced it by providing 1/1 cars or some aspect of the hobby. It's for folks that are involved in this is our passion, and so this is what we want to immerse ourselves in, and having a central place where we can find this stuff and read about these people and know that they're participating as well kind of helps create the sense of community that we're all looking for.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's kind of fun because I write for a couple of other pop culture websites. There's one called Uni Watch, which is about sports uniforms and the aesthetics of sports, which really niche stuff, but yet so many people go to this site and comment and participate. And I've actually gone to a couple of events and met some of the readers and the other participants. And it's like, who knew that there were so many people who were obsessed with this stuff? Yeah, and here we are, So it's kind of funny when you get a chance to meet people. So go to you go to like the Hot Wheels collectors convention or the toy fairs, things like that, and you get to really meet the industry. You meet the fans. You meet everybody, and it's pretty cool to see how big the collecting world is.
Yeah, I love being able to share. I love having a public platform that you can say, hey, look, here's what I'm doing, find out what other people are doing, that sort of thing. So the hobby's been going through some changes. Maybe sometime we'll get together and talk about what those changes have been and how they're affecting us.
Oh, sure.
But what do you see? What do you think you're getting the most response on? Where do you think the emphasis is in the hobby right now?
Well, there's through the world of 3D design and printing, it has changed how a company can quickly and inexpensively create a mold for something. It used to be, take forever. They would literally carve this stuff out of acetate blocks and make molds, and have to cut out the windshield separately and make molds for that and everything. And now they can, and it's not like it's AI or something. And some very talented people have to punch all the stuff in and create these wireframe designs, but then they can print out a mold or at least an approximation of the car that they can like finish and turn into the mold uh, for that car for that vehicle. So it really changes those parameters a bit as far as turnaround time and reducing the cost. So they can do lower production numbers and still make some money off it. Just recently, Wicking or Viking, however you want to pronounce it, over in Europe, came out with just direct 3D printed cars that you can buy. So they designed a Ford Cosworth. It's a very sporty little hot hatch. And so they printed this thing, or they came up with the mold. So they're offering it in 1/64th, HO, several scale, TT, N scale, and all they have to do is just set the adjustment. And they're not just using that for the mold. They're actually just printing X number of these cars in a certain color and selling them.
I think I read a little bit about this. I've seen some of the results, and that's going to be a revolution in the collectibles side. The idea that they can do this in any scale and do it accurately.
So if somebody came out with a Buick Riviera model, which they have, I could order it from them in any scale. And it's like, do I need to collect every scale of that car to be a completist? Because I can buy that design and print it myself, but do I really, or do I collect it in just the main? And then what about the colors? Whatever color glue you put into the machine, that's the color car. There's infinite possibilities of scale and color on these things. So it kind of changes the how complete are you, as a collector with this sort of thing. So it's kind of changing the parameters. Also, theoretically, it could be inexpensive to do. But Hot Wheels did one for their national convention a couple of years ago. Is kind of like the latest new thing. It was this off-road VW transporter, and they sold it directly as a like light blue prototype looking 3D thing. It was like $300. I mean, it was expensive. Theoretically, it shouldn't be that expensive, but as a new collectible with this cutting edge technology, they sold out in hours. Now it's you think that they're probably going to maybe switch to doing these on a regular basis, and it should be theoretically cheaper to produce. So who knows?
So they tested the waters with that. And of course, as a collector, anything that's limited edition, regardless of what number that number is, is a bit more desirable, and people will flock to it.
Yeah, it gets tricky because everything, it's getting to where everything is labeled as limited edition or a collector's item now. It's like, I mean, even they got to the point where like treasure hunt cars, and then they had the super treasure hunts, and like people are like, treasure hunts aren't worth bothering with. Just gotta find the supers, and it's like, some of these things seem to be oversaturated at times too. Now, I don't like to criticize the industry too much, but occasionally I like to write a think piece. It's like, how is this affecting collecting? How has it affected you? Like, chime in and let us know. Are there too many of these things? Do you still collect them all? And it's kind of an interesting shift in the demographics. The other thing too is I think some of these high tech things that they're doing, the 3D, hopefully will appeal to a younger demographic because model car collectors tend to be on the older end of the scale. We're not the kids playing on the floor with them, even though that's how we got started. And you wonder, who's going to be collecting cars 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Hopefully there are younger people who are into this sort of thing.
That's one of my favorite subjects. We all there's always people. I've always felt that if you could put wheels on it, somebody's going to race it, collect it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Of it, and so it's one of the shifts that I've seen in the hobby. We've gone from when I got into scale models was probably early 2000s or so.
Yeah.
And the cars of the 50s were the big thing. And, we got to have this car. We got all the cars of the 50s. But we seem to be kind of moving out of that. And as the population ages and the earning years shift, the guys that grew up watching, the cars of the '70s on TV, well, they're going to want to collect those. I'm seeing the guys that were so enthusiastic about Matchbox and
Right.
Johnny Lightning are getting a little bit older, a little bit more
Yeah.
sophisticated in their collecting, and that might be the shift. But we also have this age shift where the cars of the '70s, '80s, '90s
Right.
are becoming more in demand, and it seems to me that the manufacturers that are responding to that are making some inroads into collecting.
Yeah, it seems that people, in my experience, people like the cars that were on the roads when they were kids. So for me, that'd be late 60s, early 70s, et cetera. That's why I had the 71 Riviera. My dad had a 66 Mustang. I actually used to own a 59 Buick LeSabre. That's a little older than me, but uh, those things. And as I've gotten older, those things are less and less practical to keep running and everything. And I'm just not into Detroit iron as much as I used to be. So some of the newer classics. I mean, I have a 31-year-old Mazda Miata that I drive on a daily basis, and it's like
Great car.
that's
Great
an
car.
old car, and it's reliable as heck. It's bulletproof. And when they first came out, I thought they were cute. They were obviously fun and sporty and all that. But it's like, oh, that's neat. And then 30 some years later, it's like, man, that's a good looking car, and I get so many compliments on it. It's like, wow. And
I
I
had
don't.
a
But
I had a '91.
yeah,
Uh,
okay, mine's a '93. Yeah,
and
so yeah,
I
got that.
I grew up. My buddies were all doing the big block American iron, and I wanted cars that could handle.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
and when I stumbled on the Miata, I had English cars, MGs, Triumphs, that sort
yeah,
of. They were always breaking down. And I stumbled on this Miata, and it was reliable. You could take it out and drive it at 9/10, and
yeah.
yeah, not get yourself in a lot of trouble.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
a lot of fun.
yeah. They in the studio when they were designing it, they had a Lotus Elan sitting there, and they said everything that's good about that, take that and make it 10% bigger and 100% more reliable. That was the mission, and they absolutely plagiarized the lines of that car, and ended up saving the world of sports cars. So
Yeah,
um,
they did well with that. But that's part of the shift that we're seeing.
mhm.
The '70s used to be called the Malaise era.
Yeah,
But I remember the '70s, and I remember watching Farrah Fawcett driving a Cobra 2.
yeah,
I wanted one. It wasn't as fast as a Hemi Charger, but it was new and it was
yeah.
exciting, and I wanted those. And the same thing with '80s and '90s.
Oh yeah, you get you into the Night Riders. Suddenly, everybody wants a Trans Am, and yeah, that worked well. And right now, I think Fast and Furious, that it's been around for 20 years now, is driving a lot of where people are going with car culture. Uh, and not exactly my cup of tea in every way, but I'm glad car culture is still existing, and also diecast car culture as a result. So yeah, it's just these companies have to figure out a way to stay relevant, to new collectors, not just the old ones, because gotta have some long term plans here.
So this is what I love about what you're doing is you're kind of bringing it all together in one place, giving us a way to focus. There are a lot of good sites out there, but yours seems to include just about everything. So you're not brick and mortar yet. I understand that.
Right.
Where would you like to go with the Hall of Fame?
Like location wise,
Well,
or the
just
future
the
of it.
future of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be great to have a brick and mortar uh, facility. Since we're technically based in Boulder, Colorado, might as well have it, there. Uh, and that is the home of the Shelby American Collection Museum, which is a fabulous collection, great museum. So it'd be cool to like get located near them or something, buy a 2-for-1 ticket or whatever. And so we don't actually have an official collection of the cars that we have, inducted into the Hall of Fame, but between all the people who work on the site, we have a bunch of them. We could easily we could put together a pretty decent display, right off the bat. So, of course, we would look for donors and things. And as it is, we're looking for sponsors and supporters in various ways. In fact, shameless plug here, if I may, the different categories that people can be nominated and inducted in. We're looking for sponsors for each category. So several companies have signed up, and every time we mention that category, their logo will be on that page with a link to their site. And we're hoping to get some of those sponsorships put together by the time we start the nominating process in about a month. So we just recently started contacting people. So if you go to the page, there aren't that many on there yet, but we're getting lots of inquiries and whatever.
Yeah, and we'll do as much as we can to help spread the word on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
For folks that just want to be able to enjoy the Hall of Fame, how do they get involved? Do you have a newsletter? Can you sign up for something?
Well, if you just go to the site on 2 or 3 times a week, you'll find some fresh content on the blog. That's the main way. And if you have deep pockets, then hit the support us button, and there's ways. I mean, you can just donate, you can whatever. And if you want to submit a guest article, we have a process for doing that. It's like don't send us the whole article unless it's already written, but if you have an idea for something, send it to us. And if we like the idea, we'll ask you to do it, and give you a word count. Don't go way over it. Don't go under it. Send us your photos and everything, and that would be great. We have a thing we've been doing on a lot of Mondays. It's called Collective Memories, where we ask people. In fact, if you have something, people send in pictures of you as a kid with your model cars or your toy cars, or doing something car related that got you into the hobby. So we're looking for vintage photos of, young hobbyists and how they got started. So those pictures tend to be really awesome because, you get to see some great old models and some great old furniture and decor and clothes.
I love the creativity.
Yeah.
Just getting folks involved, and that's what we need to do. Look, Ron, I appreciate the time you spent. I know you're a busy guy.
Okay.
But before we go,
yes,
the hobby's all about getting new folks involved.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for somebody that's just getting started?
Collect what you like. If you like one particular brand, if you're into Matchbox, then collect Matchbox. Or if you like Mustangs, just collect Mustangs. Or if you just like a particular scale, stick with that scale. Or if it's just like, oh, this is a neat car and a cool color, I will collect that, and I'll just grab it and have a random collection of just stuff that makes you happy. But don't chase it as an investment or anything. There's time for that later. There are some opportunities for that sort of thing, but collect it because you want to collect it. And eventually you'll start figuring out some parameters that you want to stick to, or just some exceptions to those parameters. I'm like, okay, if I see, collect the cars that you actually drive or have driven in your life. Try to see if you can get all those. That's sort of a fun thing. There's all sorts of ways that you can do that. But yeah, don't go too deep into it thinking that you're going to make money off of this. Collect it because you enjoy it.
Those of us who have been in the hobby for a while know the fallacy to that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I love the guys that have focus in their collection.
Yeah.
My difficulty has been I enjoy miniaturization.
Yeah.
And there are models I've got in my collection that I would never drive.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that they're accurate, that they're small, that the pride of ownership is part.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll never own a Ferrari, but I can own small ones. Yeah. And that's sort of fun. Yeah, for me, the focus, that Kenner SSP collection was a major focus. Collecting all of the boat tail Rivieras, collecting all of the as many models of Speed Racers Mach 5 as I can get. They've done some really nice high-end 1/18th models of that thing. Oh my gosh, and some really tiny ones over the years. So I have a bunch of the Mach 5 and other Speed Racer stuff. Wow. But yeah, those are kind of like my 3 areas where when I was thinning out the collection, I kept all of those. I also like funny cars with the flopper bodies from the 60s and 70s. I have a lot of those in 1/64th, Johnny Lightning and Hot Wheels mostly, but some other brands. Those are ones that I carefully made sure that I hung on to because they're just so fun to like sit them all in a row open. Like just, I know I remember seeing that in real life, at a drag strip once, and it's just the most fascinating sight. So, old school dragsters.
Your advice is collect what you like, and
Yeah.
I love that. It gets some joy out of your collection. Enjoy having it. There might come a time when you have to relieve yourself of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you got that joy of ownership, that pride of ownership, that's what the hobby's about.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And again, yeah, you might thin out your collection at some point, but hopefully get some money back to spend on the other parts that you are still focusing on. So you never know.
Ron, I appreciate your time.
All right, thanks.
Look forward to getting together again sometime. We'll go a little bit deeper.
All right, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about some other topics in another interview.
I'll put all the contact information up so people know how to get in touch with you.
Okay, awesome. Great. Thanks.
John Kavakis here. I want to thank you for spending some time with me. If you liked the video, do me a favor, give me a like down there in the right-hand corner. Love to have you as a subscriber to the channel. We got a lot more coming, but give me just a few more minutes to talk to you about hobbyDB. Now, hobbyDB is the collector site that makes sites like the Model Car Hall of Fame possible. If you haven't been to the site, I suggest that you go visit it. I'm sure you're going to find something you like there. Now, they are crowdfunded, and I'm an investor in it. I'm one of the owners of hobbyDB, and you have the opportunity to join me. I'm going to show you a short video. If you're interested, go to the website. It only runs another 2 days or so, and you'll have an opportunity to contribute something meaningful to the hobby. Thanks for tuning in.
This is Ron. Ron is a collector. Ron is just about to experience a very traumatic event.
Finally! I've waited years to find this. The last one I need to complete my collection. Oh, wait. Do I need the pink one or the magenta one? Better check my spreadsheet. Ugh. Oh man, I must have a pic on social somewhere. Ugh. This is gonna take too long. Just go find it. Magenta. Do need the pink one. Oh!
Ron did need that car, but he also needed hobbyDB.
hobbyDB? What's hobbyDB? Strange man who just appeared in my house?
I'm glad you asked, Ron. hobbyDB is a platform for collectors, fans, nerds, geeks, historians, enthusiasts, obsessives, builders, and zealots. We're solving all their problems with a giant database of 100 billion collectibles. On hobbyDB, you can use that database to build a virtual collection or wishlist, so you never forget again what you got or what you need. And you'll get alerts as soon as something in your wishlist comes up for sale in the marketplace. So Ron, you will never miss another car again.
Wow, hobbyDB is exactly what I need.
I buy and sell Funko. It is serious business. I need up-to-date values and secure transactions. Can hobbyDB help me with that?
Absolutely, Megan. Our price guide pulls the latest sales and updates in real time, so we can give you values and trends. Plus, you can sell from your collection in seconds. And our marketplace is patrolled by a dedicated team of experts, so we know how to take care of fakers, forgers, and scammers that take advantage of innocent collectors on those other sites.
Wow, that's exactly what I need too.
I'm into Digimon, Attack on Titan, One Piece, and Gurren Lagann. I want manufacturers to know what I want to buy. Is hobbyDB for me?
Absolutely, we are way ahead of you. hobbyDB is already working with brands such as Funko, Mego, and Garbage Pail Kids, providing them with needed data and feedback, and providing exclusives to users such as you.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I want a place to show off my wonderful collection of perfume bottles.
Then I want somewhere I can lose myself in a world of Porsche.
You're both in luck. On hobbyDB's database, You can spend hours searching, browsing, slicing and dicing the information however you want. You will discover new collectibles related to your interest that you never knew existed. You can go through portals tailored to your specific interest, soak up the history, and even add information, pictures and items to the database, preserving the things you love best for future generations. And when you're done with all of that, you can use our showcase feature to show your collection to the rest of the world.
Fabulous!
Perfection.
So if you collect
Funko!
Anime.
Marvel.
Vinyl.
Star Wars.
Cars.
Perfume bottles.
Porsches.
Everything.
hobbyDB is for you. hobbyDB has always been by collectors, for collectors, and now it can be owned by collectors. Please become a shareholder today.